again. So this will be chapter 4, video 3 of the Robert Hur Classified Documents report against Joe Biden. This has maybe 20 pages left of this particular section, but some of it's, like I said before, it's photos and probably copies of emails and stuff like that. But anyway, let's get started here on H. It says, after Mr. Biden left office, copies of many of the note cards were held in a SCIF at the National Archives. Ultimately, the Associate Counsel and McGrail arranged for Mr. Biden's classified note cards to be held in a SCIF at the National Archives under a deposit agreement that allowed Mr. Biden to store personal material at a National Archives facility. On January 12, 2017, Mr. Biden signed a deposit agreement allowing him to store certain personal effects in a secured and protected area at the National Archives. According to the agreement, the material consisted of correspondence, memorabilia, personal notes, and other miscellaneous personal property. When the Associate Counsel made arrangements to bring the deposit agreement to Mr. Biden's executive assistant for Mr. Biden's signature, she indicated that McGrail has spoken with him, which should be Mr. Biden, about the issues. But in an interview, Mr. McGrail said that he thought the deposit agreement related to personal records from Mr. Biden's Senate tenure, and he did not recall binders of classified note cards going into Mr. Biden's personal storage at the archives. On January 16, 2017, 4 days before Mr. Biden left the vice presidency, the Associate Counsel asked a member of the executive secretary team to pick up the vice president's classified materials at the Naval Observatory. Soon after, another member of the executive secretary team explained that the material consisted of 4 to 5 binders, and that once you return, you will need to place in a 1 to 2 PRA Presidential Records Act boxes along with the originals. The following day was the Associate Counsel's last day in the office of the Vice Presidency. She sent McGrail and others an outstanding to-do list. Among other things, she reminded McGrail to approve the deposit agreement to allow Mr. Biden to store his personal materials at the archives. She also wrote, "We need to send his personal diaries to storage at the archives. A National Archives employee has offered to come and pick them up. I think this is the best option." When interviewed, the Associate Counsel clarified that she was referring to the binders that we copied, meaning the binders of Mr. Biden's note cards containing classified information discussed above. The Associate Counsel said, "I believe we were using diaries as shorthand because they were personal notes and thoughts." She explained that it was the safest decision to have the note cards be in a SCIF since there were likely classified documents. On January 18, 2017, a National Archives employee visited the White House, picked up the copies of the note cards in Mr. Biden's West Wing office from McGrail and brought them to the National Archives. McGrail said in his interview with our office that he had no memory of giving the archives employees the binders of note cards or that they contained classified information, but the archives employee recalled McGrail telling him that the materials contained classified information. Accordingly, the archives stored the materials inside a SCIF. After he left the vice presidency, Mr. Biden twice visited the National Archives to review copies of his note cards in a SCIF. Soon after he left office in 2017, and while researching this book, Mr. Biden visited the National Archives twice to consult the copies of his note cards that were being held in the SCIF. During a recorded interview on April 24, 2017, Mr. Biden told his ghostwriter Schwanitzer that he took separate notes regarding his private lunches with President Obama. Mr. Biden said that before each lunch, he and his chief of staff prepared and wrote an agenda on one of those little cards of mine, an apparent reference to the long, narrow note cards that Biden carried in his jacket pocket. After each lunch, Mr. Biden dictated notes about the lunch to his executive assistant. Mr. Biden explained that he previously had all those notes at the house in the safe, but that I don't know what they made me do with them. Ms. Wanitzer, can we spend some time on that after lunch? And Mr. Biden, I had all those presidential notes. Wanitzer, I know you gave me this much from the diaries, Mr. Biden, but I wonder where those, Wanitzer, do you have separate notebooks of the presidential lunches? Mr. Biden, yeah. What I would do is after every lunch, I would dictate to, I'll call in the executive assistant and I would dictate to her what the lunch was about. I had all those at the house in a safe. I don't know what they made me do with them. But what I would do is I would make up a card, one of those little cards of mine, before I'd have lunch. I'd meet with Steve, which is Rossetti, and anything anybody thought I should be bringing up, I put on our agenda. And when I came back, I dictate notes to the executive assistant as to what actually transpired at the lunch. 2 days later, in another recorded interview, Mr. Biden said he had learned that his note cards had been turned in to the National Archives and that Mr. Biden would have to go through his former counsel McGrail, to get them. Mr. Biden also told Zwanitzer that he had not wanted to turn the note cards in. Mr. Biden, I'm told by a personal aide, I guess he checked with you in order for me to get get all those presidential notes I had for lunch, the luncheon meetings, I have to go to McGrail. And the assistant, yes, McGrail has them. We were supposed to turn it in, and that is the last person who had them. And then Mr. Biden, okay, see if you can get me McGrail on the line while I have you now, okay? And stay on, okay? Got it, sir. Hold on. Zwanitzer, this is probably something that goes to the presidential papers. Mr. Biden, I don't think so. I was in between. I didn't want to turn in. Zwanitzer, right. So it's the gray area. The next day, Swanitzer sent an email to the assistant and personal aide explaining that Mr. Biden may try to review some of the notes from lunches with the president and asked Swanitzer to give him a list of the dates of the lunches that would be important. Swanitzer included a list of the dates of several such lunches in his email, and Swanitzer forwarded the list to Mr. Biden's personal email account on May 11, 2017. On that day, and again 2 months later, Mr. Biden visited the National Archives to review copies of his note cards, which were held in a skiff. McGrail accompanied him. During both visits, archive staff made clear to Mr. Biden that by viewing the note cards in the archive skiff, he was accessing classified information. Nonetheless, in his interview with our office, McGrail said he believed the material was in a skiff at the archive simply to keep it secure, not necessarily because it was classified. During the first visit on May 11th, archive staff followed a detailed checklist to ensure they properly safeguarded the classified information in the note cards. The staff ensured that Mr. Biden did not bring his phone or other electronic device into the skiff. They announced that the visit involved access to classified information. They remained in the skiff and monitored Mr. Biden while he reviewed the note cards. They also reminded him of his continuing responsibility to protect all classified information after his visit. On July 11, 2017, 2 months after their first visit to the archives, Mr. Biden and McGrail returned. Before the second visit, Swanitzer emailed Mr. Biden another list of lunches and events for which his notes would be helpful. During the second visit, archive staff followed the same general practices to safeguard classified information. Mr. Biden also signed a form entitled Notice of Users of NARA Classified Research Trends. The first sentence of the form read, "You will be viewing materials containing classified national security information," and the remainder of the form explained the various procedures and rules necessary to safeguard such classified information. Not all of Mr. Biden's note cards made their way to the SCIF at the archives. When the FBI searched Mr. Biden's Delaware home on January 20th of 2023, they discovered a stack of Mr. Biden's note cards in his office. While many of the note cards were from after his term as vice president, some of them dated from his vice presidency and included handwritten notes about intelligence products and matters of national security. One note card included a handwritten classification marking. Some of the note cards found in the Delaware home remain classified up to the top secret level. And then part 2 here is Mr. Biden's notebooks. And then A, Mr. Biden used notebooks during his vice presidency to record both official and personal events. As with his note cards, Mr. Biden has also frequently took notes about that should probably say Mr. Biden also frequently, okay, yeah, I was going to say taken but took notes about classified information in notebooks. Most of the classified note cards were stored differently from the classified notebooks after the vice presidency, as explained above. Most of the classified note cards went to an archive SCIF, but Mr. Biden took his classified notebooks home with him and stored them in unsecured and unauthorized locations. Mr. Biden regularly took notes in notebooks throughout his president's or vice presidency, and most of these notebooks were bound with black covers like this. And then some had labels identifying the date range or general subject matter of their contents, and photos of some of these notebooks are below. And the notebooks seized from the file cabinets under the television in the Delaware home office. Interesting. And then there's more of that. Notebooks seized from file cabinet under printers in Delaware home office, and notebooks seized from bookcase in Delaware's home, Delaware home's second level office. And then I think I'll stop it right here, or maybe just pause for a minute because my dog's outside probably roasting away, sunning herself. But anyway, let me stop it, and then I'll get back to recording in just a moment. Anyways. Hey y'all, I'm back. I had to bring the dog in. So anyway, this is still probably about like 12 more pages. Okay, so we're going to start right here on page 86. It says the content of Mr. Biden's notebooks took several forms. One is work notes. Mr. Biden wrote these notes during or soon after meetings he attended as vice president. These notes memorialize, often in bullet point format, things such as the issues presented, comments of meeting participants, and decisions made. For example, Mr. Biden often took notes during meetings of the National Security Council and the President's daily brief. Most of the notes in Mr. Biden's collection of notebooks were covered by FBI agents from his Wilmington residence, or work notes of this type. Work reflections. These were Mr. Biden's impressions, reflections, opinions, and commentary about people and issues he encountered as vice president. For example, during the 2009 review of U.S. military strategy and foreign policy in Afghanistan, discussed in Chapter 6, Mr. Biden recorded his deep concerns that President Obama's eventual decision about Afghanistan would be a terrible mistake. And 3 political notes and reflections. These were Mr. Biden's summaries of and commentary about political or electoral issues. For example, his notes about his decision whether to run for president in 2016. Personal reflections. These were entries about purely personal subjects such as the illness and death of his son, Beau. 5 to-do lists. These were reminders about issues ranging from policy deliberations to political concerns to personal matters. While Mr. Biden often organized his notebooks roughly based on subject matter, many notebooks contain entries on a variety of topics. He typically added entries sequentially by date so that a given notebook would contain, for example, real time notes of White House meetings, purely personal entries about Mr. Biden's family, and entries about an upcoming election. Most of the notebooks contained predominantly work notes, summaries, or minutes of work meetings, but a few writings were more diary like and personal in nature. B, the notebooks contain classified information. Though one of the notebooks have classification markings, some of the notebooks contain information that remains classified up to the top secret sensitive compartmented information level. As with his note cards, Mr. Biden routinely took notes in his notebooks about classified subjects during meetings where classified information was discussed. For example, he regularly took notes related to the presidential daily brief, which typically contains classified information. He also regularly took notes during meetings in the White House Situation Room, and numerous photographs document this practice. Okay, so here he is. I think this is supposed to be him with his little book, but everybody else has some kind of note stuff. But anyway, I'm assuming this is him. Mr. Biden using a notebook at Principals Committee meeting, September 29th, 2009. And then, okay, so I guess that was him. And Mr. Biden writing in a notebook at a meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, October 30th of 2009. And then often Mr. Biden's notes contain real-time minutes of National Security Council meetings during which the president deliberated with the senior military, intelligence, and foreign policy advisors. These meetings regularly involve discussions of classified information. For this reason, they took place in the Situation Room, which is itself a SCIF and signs conspicuously designated National Security Council meetings as top secret. Some of the handwritten notes Mr. Biden took in his notebooks during those meetings included classified information. The notebooks contain such information about the following subjects: U.S. intelligence sources, methods and capabilities, U.S. intelligence activities, the activities of foreign intelligence services, U.S. military programs and capabilities, foreign military programs and capabilities, plans and capabilities of foreign terrorist organizations. And then these are all those little examples. The FBI and the special counsel's office elected 37, excerpts totaling 109 pages from Mr. Biden's handwritten material, including mostly notebook entries and a few note cards seized from his Delaware home, to submit to classification authorities in the intelligence community and the Department of Defense. To determine the appropriate classification level for each, investigators selected a sampling of excerpts across Mr. Biden's notebooks that both appeared to be classified and that they expected a jury could find our national defense information under 18 U.S.C. 793. Maybe that's a subsection. I guess that's what that means. And they're subject to the limitations discussed in Chapter 2. Classification authorities identified each excerpt as continuing presently classified information. Of the 37 excerpts, 8 are top secret with sensitive compartmented information, 7 of which include information concerning human intelligence sources, 6 are top secret, 21 are secret, and 2 are confidential. A more detailed description of the results of the classification review is in Appendix A. Mr. Biden also sometimes placed marked classified documents inside his notebooks. Photos in the Situation Room show documents tucked inside his notebooks, and the FBI recovered marked classified documents from inside 3 notebooks found in Mr. Biden's Delaware home. That's interesting. Okay, notebook with inserted document at a meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, October 30th, 2009. Notebooks with additional inserted documents at the end of the same meeting. So it looks like maybe it's stuffed in here. Looks like paper hanging out. October 30th of 2009. C, at times during his vice presidency, Mr. Biden stored his notebooks in a White House safe. During his vice presidency and afterward, Mr. Biden kept his notebooks close, and even his most trusted advisors did not read them. Ron claimed Mr. Biden's chief of staff as both vice president and president. He explained that Mr. Biden considered his notes to be his personal reflections, and he didn't want people looking at them. As shown below in a photograph from 2009, and as witnesses explained, Mr. Biden carried the notebooks himself in his own briefcase. Unlike his note cards, which he explained above, he often handed to staff to collect and organize. He did not give the notebooks to his staff. And then Vice President Biden with the notebook, August 7th, 2009. And then early in the Obama administration, the first counsel to the vice president, Cynthia Hogan, personally advised him about the proper handling of classified information, and Mr. Biden agreed to follow her advice. As explained in Chapter 3, the advice was codified in a 2010 memo from Hogan, which instructed Mr. Biden that classified materials may never be left unattended, but must be kept in the custody of Mr. Biden or an authorized staff member or secured in a safe. According to Hogan's notes, among her concerns were Mr. Biden's notes on code word info, which were kept in his AFPAC notebooks. That is, his notebooks concerning various policy reviews relating to Afghanistan and Pakistan, which are discussed further in Chapter 6. Hogan's notes say that Mr. Biden's personal aide will collect these notebooks, but in interviews with the special counsel's office in 2023, Hogan did not remember Mr. Biden's notebooks or whether he ever advised Mr. Biden about, or she ever advised Mr. Biden about how he should store notes he took during classified meetings. In 2011, Hogan provided Mr. Biden further written guidance about the proper handling of classified notes. In a memo to Mr. Biden about protocols for hiring a historian to work in the office of the president or vice president, Hogan explained that any discussions with you that cover classified topics will need to take place in accordance with Executive Order 13526 on classified national security information. This means that such discussions must occur in a secure facility like your West Wing office, and that any notes or other materials that contain classified information must be maintained in secure safes, produced on a classified computer, and stored in a secure facility. For a time, at least during the early part of his vice presidency, Mr. Biden stored his notebooks relating to national security along with other classified documents in the safe in the West Wing office. As Mr. Biden's first personal aide explained, Mr. Biden stored these notebooks, including the AFPAC notebook, in the safe because that safe was for classified information. It was the purpose of the safe. Periodically, Mr. Biden removed certain classified items from the safe and asked his personal aide to return them to members of his national security staff, but Mr. Biden never let anyone else possess his notebooks. And then there's more of these footnotes. Okay, as at some point during his vice presidency, Mr. Biden appears to have stopped storing his notebooks at the West Wing safe. Mr. Biden's first personal aide, who regularly retrieved the notebooks from the safe from Mr. Biden left the administration in 2014. After that, there's no evidence Mr. Biden or his staff stored his notebooks in the West Wing safe. Mr. Biden also appears to have kept his notebooks and other classified information in a safe when he was at the Naval Observatory, again, at least for a time near the beginning of the administration. For example, a 2010 email from Mr. Biden's personal aide to members of his staff notes that Mr. Biden had just put classified documents in Mr. Biden's notebook documenting the 2010 Afghanistan-Pakistan policy review. A D, after his vice presidency, Mr. Biden stored his notebooks in unlocked and unauthorized containers in his home. After Mr. Biden left the White House in 2017, while most of his classified note cards went to a SCIF at the National Archives, his notebooks went to his private homes where they were not secured in a safe and were in a setting that was not authorized for the storage of classified information. The notebooks first went to Mr. Biden's rental home in Virginia, where he kept them in a room he used for meetings. As explained in the next chapter, in the months after he left the White House, Mr. Biden gathered the notebooks and referred to several of them while writing his book, Promise Me, Dad. During their conversation while writing the book, Mr. Biden told his ghostwriter, Schwanitzer, that the notebooks might contain classified information. When Mr. Biden moved out of the Virginia home, his notebooks were eventually moved to his home in Delaware. In January 2023, during a search of the Delaware home, FBI agents found the notebooks in unlocked and unauthorized locations, primarily in Mr. Biden's main floor office and basement den. And then there's, I guess it's unlocked here. It says a file cabinet under the television in Delaware home's main floor office containing the AFPAC 1 and daily memo notebooks in January 20th, 2023. Okay, and then all of this, I guess it's just not locked. And then file cabinet under the printers in Delaware home's main floor office containing 3 seized notebooks. In Mr. Biden's interview with our office, he explained that he took his notebooks with him after his vice presidency because they are mine, and explained that every president before me has done the same thing. He also specifically referenced President Reagan, who, after leaving office, kept handwritten diaries containing classified information at his private home, as discussed in Chapter 10. In later written answers, Mr. Biden wrote that, like presidents and vice presidents before me, I understand these notes to be my personal property. He declined to answer several questions about whether he believed his notes contained classified information, whether he believed he was authorized to possess the classified information after his vice presidency, and whether he took steps to avoid writing classified information in the notebooks. All right, so then we're going to stop here on Chapter 5, and then I'll try to keep recording. My day kind of got off to a bumpy start, so I'm kind of off schedule today, but I want to finish some of this up. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.